Right, it's time. Let's talk about my favourite hike from hell. Now, I know that sentence doesn't quite make sense. How can a hike that destroys your soul be your favourite? Honestly, it did break us. But we did it because of this. Waterfalls literally everywhere you look. Emerald green valley walls that never end. And the massive Earnslaw Glacier staring you straight down the neck. It's easily one of the greatest views I have ever seen in my life. It still gives me goosebumps even now. But getting to it, the sheer distance, the relentless, agonising conditions of the trail, and the weather that took a sharp, catastrophic turn, it was frankly soul destroying. To get out of that tree line is horrendous. Before we get into the gruesome details of a terrible time hiking here in Glenorchy, let's talk about why we actually love this place. Because as I told you last time, New Zealand leaves you with a bit of a love-hate relationship. We arrived in the mid-afternoon in Glenorchy's tiny town, and it's this wonderfully wholesome, sleepy old mining town. We did the classic touristy bit and walked around the iconic red hut, strolled onto the little jetty, and just stared out at the never-ending beauty of Lake Wakatipu. It was peaceful, it was idyllic. The funny thing is, we were lulled into a very false sense of security by this humble town. That evening at the campsite, we put together a plan of action. Now, I'd seen this trail many times over social media. It looked incredibly inviting, and its sheer beauty was impossible to ignore. So I knew I had to add this to my list. It's called the Earnslaw Burn Track. It is a demanding 30-kilometre out and back trail. The All Trails app and any basic human sanity recommended doing it over the 2 days because the conditions can get a bit, well, let's say tricky. However, a handful of people online claims that it was a hard route but perfectly achievable in 1 day. So, being the ambitious, adventurous idiot that I am, I decided we'd smash it out in a single day. Having now done it, I can confidently tell you that whoever wrote those reviews is either completely mentally unhinged or an absolute athletic god. It is not a day hike. We woke up 5 a.m. February the 14th. Yep, you guessed it. We did this on Valentine's Day. And yes, my girlfriend was not impressed at either the early start or the hellish hike we were about to discover. As we arrived at the trail, we were greeted by this stunning sunrise. It felt like the universe was telling us, Mitch, today is going to be a good day. I quickly established the universe was lying, and here's us at hour 1. So, we are just over an hour in to the Earnslaw Burn Track, right, Sally? And it's, what, just over 4k maybe we've done?
3.07 kilometres.
Oh, not very much at all. So time and distance is not in our favour, but it's just a sheer amount of roots, mud, slippy surfaces, just make it so hard, and the trees that have been felled that are falling over is just incredible from landslides and storms, I guess, over the years, and it's just such an inaccessible path to get. So we're about over an hour in. It is meant to be about a 10-12 hour hike, So we'll be updating as we go, just trying to cross the river as we speak. So yeah, keep posted. Now, I can't deny the forest looked ethereal. Massive twisting trees and thick moss that made it look like a literal fairyland. But between that clip and the next one was just a continuous brutal barrage of mud, clambering over fallen trees and logs and navigating rushing rivers and stepping over treacherous, slippery rocks. Relentless is the only word for it. Only 2 hours later, we were losing our minds. Okay. So, we are up on 3 hours in. It's getting very hard now. It's just a absolute slog of a hike to get through this forest. It's just energy zapping, but stand mentally strong, keep pushing through. I say this definitely type 2 or type 3 fun. It's definitely pushing our determination, isn't it?
Mate, there is no fun in this.
Well, it's my kind of fun, not her kind of fun, which unfortunate for her.
I'm surviving, not thriving.
Yeah. Again, I always seem to pick a good bit where I could possibly fall over on camera. It's very muddy. Whoop. Very treacherous. But yeah, it's just a quick update. We're in 3 hours in. It's shit. It's a struggle, but we're getting there. We are still on time. We're nearly at the tree line. I reckon another 45 minutes or so and we should be out, which is fantastic. So hopefully next time I check on hour 4, we'll be at the forest and I'll be a lot happier, and so will Jess. So keep posted. Naturally, it dragged on way longer. And at this point in the forest, I had mentioned something called type 2 or type 3 fun. And for those of you who don't know what on earth I'm talking about, allow me to explain the official yet slightly sinister scale of human enjoyment. Firstly, you have type 1 fun. This is instant fun, and we all love this fun. It is fun both during and after the moment. Think eating a delicious, freshly cooked pizza and enjoying a cold drink on a sunny day with your best friends. Absolutely everyone is having a great time and there is zero suffering. Then there is type 2 fun. This is all about retrospect and delays gratification. It is not fun in the moment, but it's worth all the hard work when it's done. Say it's just like running a marathon. It is incredibly hard, your lungs are screaming, your legs are heavy and sore, but you are absolutely overjoyed the second you cross that finish line. You forget about all the pain because the reward is worth it. That was me clinging to the hope of seeing that glacier. And finally, we have the very dark realm of type 3 fun. Type 3 is exactly zero fun. You are having a terrible time. You are either in immense pain or very ill, and you are trapped in a highly specific or miserable situation. In this case of type 3 fun, it is hiking non-stop for 12 grueling hours. It's having blistered, soaking wet feet. It's dealing with throbbing, injured knees and legs, repeatedly smashing your head on low-hanging trees and face planting directly into the mud. In the moment, it is pure despair. However, it makes for a truly spectacular story that you can only laugh about later at the complete expense of your own misfortune. And that is the difference of my definition of the 3 types of fun. Arguably, I think we can all agree that we all have a type 3 fun story, which you'll never forget. Now, as we pushed past hour 3 in that nightmarish forest, I was desperately trying to convince myself we were having Type 2 fun. Jess, on the other hand, was firmly trapped in the Type 3 nightmare, wondering why she hadn't fallen in love with an accountant who just likes a beach holiday. And I was beginning to wonder the same. And it was about to get worse, because yet again, this dragged on way longer than it was supposed to. We then crossed paths with a couple walking the opposite direction, who had obviously made a better decision and camped overnight. I cautiously asked them, how much longer until we reach the end of the forest? They casually said, about an hour. And nearly 2 hours later, and a rainstorm arrived, this happened.
1 hour, my arse, more like 2. So, I'd love to say it's taken the time that it has taken us, but I'd say about 4 hours for sure, plus to get out of that tree line. It is horrendous, I have to say. However, even though it's raining, nearly fell over. Don't do that. Even though it's raining, I have to say, just that first glimpse of what we're looking at right now is absolutely insane. Take a look.
The moment we emerged from that dreaded forest, all the pain, the torture, the regrets, they honestly vanished. You simply couldn't ignore the sheer magnificence of what was in front of us. It was a fantasy realm, hidden away in the corner of the world where you would never expect to find it. I genuinely felt that we had stepped right into the pages of a fairy tale. I hate to admit, the rain did actually add a layer of mystery to it all, like we were explorers discovering an uncharted land. Mind you, it also made the final stretch incredibly difficult to stay upright, clambering over wet, jagged rocks and ankle-deep mud, just hoping we wouldn't end up on the local news.
So we're pretty much through the worst of it, I'd like to say. About 5 hours later, it's been an absolute beast of a hike. However, the views that we're seeing right now is extraordinary, to say the least. I feel so lucky to be here, but it's so hard. I can't tell you how hard the hike was. But just being here is absolutely amazing.
It was one of the most magical moments of our entire New Zealand trip. Countless cascading waterfalls, vibrant green scenery, and that beautiful yet intimidating Earnslaw Glacier looming over you like a sleeping giant. The sun even decided to make an appearance while we ate a very well-deserved lunch. Whilst reflecting, eating our soggy sandwiches, we both agreed. Whoever wrote those reviews saying that this was a day trip, they must have been operating a top secret elite military training exercise, because that is the only reason you'd be compelled to attempt this in one day. Look, I'm incredibly happy we got to witness this extraordinary place. It is forever etched into my memory. But the hike itself, a total torturous experience. Next time, I am 100% taking a helicopter straight to the glacier and having a much nicer time. But hey, it made for a brilliant story and it made the payoff so much sweeter. Plus, there's a massive silver lining to finishing this. I'm fairly certain that no other hike I ever do for the rest of my life will ever feel as bad as the day we conquered the Earnslaw Burn Track. Even though I am an adult, I think I surely deserve at least a gold sticker for finishing this one. Thank you so much for joining me on this miserable, beautiful adventure. Let me know in the comments if you felt sorry for us or you just thoroughly enjoyed our suffering. See you on the next one, leave the noise behind and walk with me.